this light over here real fast. Okie dokie, smoky pokey. There that is. There'll be a little bit of a shadow, but that's all right. We'll deal with it. There'll be a little bit of a shadow, but so be it. We will deal with it. So, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Tonight I'm gonna talk about some things that I've been offering for a long time that some people have taken advantage of, and I certainly want more people to take advantage of it. And so I'm gonna get into some of the things that I've been giving away online. And now when I made this step and repeat, and I actually put a carpet down here so there'd be a little bit less of an echo in this garage that I'm in. But I want to talk in great detail about the Mollen Commission. Because I said earlier that if you haven't read the Mollen Commission, then you really don't know much about policing. And I'm just going to go over a couple different things here because I can't worry about how many people watch the live or how many people are here or answering questions as much as I have to immediately and as quickly as I possibly can disseminate the information to you guys, because this is going to go on a video anyway. So I just want to make sure that I get the information out to you guys as quickly as we can. And by the way, everything that I'm going to show you right now, I offer 100% for free. I don't own these things. I didn't create these commissions. But I'm going to talk in great detail about them so that you truly can get a barometer and an understanding of how bad policing is in America. How you doing, T-Roy? Thanks for coming in. You guys hit that like button if you would. On TikTok, you're supposed to just tap the screen a million times. I think on YouTube, you literally just you tap it once. You just hit the like button once, and then it's a like. So if you guys are new here, if you do me a favor, hit that like button. So now, if you go to my website, DeleteLawZ, DeleteLawZ.com with a Z, that I offer a few different things. So that you can begin to educate yourself, because it doesn't matter if I know this information. It doesn't matter. I'm one guy. One guy does not mean anything in the grand scheme of things. And I often will talk about something called the rule of recognition. Have you ever heard of the rule of recognition? If you've never heard of the rule of recognition, then it's something that you absolutely have to know. Because the rule of recognition is how law is made. And if you haven't noticed what's going on in America right now, we're looking at these people who don't understand liberty and don't understand freedom, and they are pushing to get a mandate pushed, which, by the way, that's exactly what happened in 1820 and 1920 with Prohibition. That's exactly what happened in 1920 with Prohibition. And that's how a mandate got pushed, is people who didn't understand that your liberty could be snatched away. They're the ones who pushed for a mandate. And that was brought on by elitists in the temperance society. What are we seeing today? Big technology is colluding with government to make it so that you believe that a mandate is just necessary. How many people have had one of my Instagram account was taken down. I think that was by the people calling me racist. But then what's happening now is when I've shared this idea that we should not push for a vaccination, now my Instagram account has all the features locked. I can't unlock the features. And don't think that Google's above it. They'll do the same thing once they hear the messaging, that they'll shut us down. So now, if you guys go on DeleteLawZ.com, if you go on DeleteLawZ, what I offer to you guys, and it's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free. There's 3 commissions that have happened over the history of time. And so the first one that I'm holding in my hands is called the Wickersham Commission. Now, you can find this online, but the difference between me sending it to you and you getting it offline is that it's not going to be set up in this format. You're going to get it. The Wickersham Commission is such a massive volume of information. And what this is about, and this is published in 1931, and what this is about is that the police are the biggest alcohol gang in America. And it's not even remotely close. You've heard of Capone, you've heard of Lucky Luciano, you've heard of those different alcohol gangs. But the truth is that in 1931, the police are the biggest alcohol gang there is. And they are either pushing the alcohol, they're creating the avenues for the alcohol to be distributed, or they're the muscle for the alcohol gangs, or they literally are the gang. They literally are the gang. I didn't plan on standing up. But this is what the 1928 case called Olmsted versus the United States is about. That's what this is about. This is about Roy Olmsted, who's charged with bootlegging alcohol from Seattle into Canada. And he's got a dozen little police officers who are helping him bootleg alcohol into Canada. And that's the 1928 case of Olmsted versus the United States. And who hears that case? William Howard Taft. And William Howard Taft upholds the ruling against, I guess in the Supreme Court it's called a holding, but it was a ruling that Olmsted was guilty. And how was he caught? He was caught by J. Edgar Hoover wiretapping his phones. J. Edgar Hoover was head of the FBI from 1924, which is going to be right here. He started the FBI in 1924, and J. Edgar Hoover is going to be the head of the FBI until 1974. 1974. He's at the head of the FBI for 50 years. How you say to yourself, do you know of anybody who's been in a job for 50 years? Very few people. Very few people. So how is J. Edgar Hoover head of the FBI for 50 years? Because back then you could just tap right into people's phones and listen right in. I guess this is the symbol for phone from the Gen X generation. I think that the millennials and they do like this. This is the symbol for phone for them. So with that being said, so then what happens is Herbert Hoover, he orders the Wickersham Commission, and then the Wickersham Commission comes out in 1931 and 1932, and it's led by a federal judge named I think his name was George Wickersham, if I'm correct. I don't want to look anything up, so I think that's right. I think that's correct. And so what William Howard Taft says, and he puts it in the holding, he says, civil liberties be damned. If we catch you bootlegging alcohol, we're going to hold, he literally, it's the most disgusting thing you'll ever hear. If you are about the principles of liberty and freedom in this country, and you hear what J. Edgar Hoover said for his holding in Olmsted versus the United States, I think it's in my ebook. I'm not sure if I put it in there or not, but he says, civil liberties be damned. That's what he says. Those are his exact words. If we catch you breaking the law, don't think we won't uphold the conviction. He does, and later his case is overruled in the 1967 case of Katz versus the United States. The holding in Olmsted is overruled, I guess it's overruled at the Supreme Court. It's replaced by Katz versus the United States, and this wipes out the Olmsted ruling. But the Olmsted holding lasts from 1928 until 1967. So if you had your phone wiretapped in those 40 years, your life was ruined. And J. Edgar Hoover, what he did is he kept track of all those people's phone conversations. He recorded all of them. So if you just scan through, and the Wickersham Commission is not as fun as read as what I'm going to dig into today. I'm going to dig into the Mollen Commission, but I do have it available. It's free. Just send me an email through DeleteLawZ.com, and I will send this to you. And you can go through, and you can open it to almost any page and start to read it. Now, this is one of the commissions that you can get from my website, DeleteLawZ.com. So that's why I want you guys to get it. I want you guys to read it. And I'm just going to go in chronological order here so that we can kind of keep up with one another. So now this is actually a very fun read. I've given long lectures on Harry Anslinger and how he prohibited marijuana specifically to take out the cannabis industry so that it wouldn't compete with the hemp, fossil fuel, and pharmaceutical industries. And what runs us today? The pharmaceutical industry and the big fossil fuel industry. That's what runs our country today. And so, let me get that stick out of there because this looks funny in the shot. So this is the LaGuardia Report. It's published in 1944. The study starts in 1940. I read this in one day. It's not that thick. I read it in one day. And I'm a voracious reader, so I speed read very, very quickly. But you don't have to speed read this quickly. What's really fun about the LaGuardia Report, and this is fun, is in the back here, there's a series of studies that they did, and they published the studies like MIT would do a study. And this is ordered by, I can't pronounce this, Federico LaGuardia. I don't want to be, people are so damn sensitive. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Italians, but I can't, his name might be on here. There it is. That's his name right there. So if you guys can say his name, that would be amazing. It's Fidorio LaGuardia. And so this is a really fun read. I read this in one day, right? And in the back of it here, and this is what I'm going to get into, get my ADD in order here, but it's toward the end of the day, and I got to make sure that I get as much content out as possible because, as you guys know, this ride called life is a very funny one. So So now in the back of this, though, are the studies, the double-blind studies that they did. And there's studies on whether or not behavior during the test period of subjects under influence of marijuana. They call it marijuana. It's called marijuana. And the reason why they called it marijuana was because Harry Anslinger was capitalizing of the deep-seated racism in America. And so they said that if you smoke marijuana, that you'll sleep with Mexican men, that white women will sleep with Mexican men. I think on the congressional floor in 1937, Harry Anslinger said that smoking marijuana makes darkies think that they're as good as whites. That's what he said. He also said that smoking marijuana, if you give a woman marijuana, she'll sleep with a black man and she'll get syphilis. And then, as you know, later, the Tuskegee experiments are going to happen from 1932 until 1972. Tuskegee is where they inject black people with syphilis through the Tuskegee School, which is a historically black hospital founded by Lewis Adams. This gentleman here, Lewis Adams, who was born right around the time slavery was abolished. I think he was born into slavery, I'm pretty sure. You can get the posters on DeleteLawZ.com, DeleteLawZ. I do appreciate it. I have that very, it is what it is. But yeah, if you can get it at DeleteLawZ, there's 3 different versions. There's a $20 version that's digital. There's a $99 version made out of indestructible paper. And then there's one that's $135 that's laminated like the one I have over here. And it's done at Image Square Printing in Santa Monica. It's the highest quality printer you can get, just like the t-shirts. I don't sell anything that's rubbish. Now, I was a horrible t-shirt salesman. It was terrible. But now I've kind of figured out a system if I just put it in the package and send it that day. And I only sell the ones I have. I have 3 t-shirts left. I've still had 3 t-shirts left for 3 days because I just got on TikTok Live and my live got suspended within 10 seconds. So there's that. But the LaGuardia Report is a lot of fun, and I give it to you for free. Just send me an email through my email through DeleteLawZ.com, and back here it'll talk about if you're motivated or not, how much you eat. And what they found, though, the overall study of the LaGuardia Report was that marijuana has 0 character changes. As a matter of fact, just so you guys know, and this is, my best friend is a gay guy in West Hollywood, California. He's my best motherfucker. I love this guy. He's my best friend. You have no idea. We are tight as nails. But if I was gay, fellas, I'd be gay. I'd be out and proud. Like, I don't give a shit about a brand. I don't care if you like me. I don't give a shit about any of that. I care about overturning Terry. I talked to someone earlier on the phone and they said to me, "Oh, Chille, I don't know if that's going to work on my brand." I said, "I got to go, bro." Click. Later. You worried about your brand? You worried about your goddamn brand where there's 2.5 million people in prison? You worried about your fucking brand, bro? That's what I really wanted to say. I didn't. Because what I've learned is that I'm an extraordinarily aggressive person. That's what I've learned. I've learned that about myself by coming out of the darkness in June. But you guys definitely should read this, and I'll give it to you 100% for free. For free. So then, as we go down the line, now, the Knapp Commission. Now, listen, you can read the Knapp, but you know what I ended up doing? I scanned through it. There's a lot of things to read in the Knapp, right? You can just speed read this really quickly because it's a 2-paragraph and you just go down one page, down the other page. I'm actually going to read the Mollen aloud because that's the most recent police commission. And if you have not read the Mollen Commission, my friends, you are missing the boat. But this is the Knapp Commission. This is the 1974, and I got sidetracked with my ADHD. But truly, if you really want to understand the Knapp, you don't need to read it, right? What you need to do is you need to go listen to the Serpico tapes. Frank Serpico, NYPD plainclothes officer who testified for 2 or 3 days as a whistleblower. And Frank Serpico, they would make a movie about him starring Al Pacino. And if you watch that movie called Serpico, you get exactly what's in the Knapp. There are some things in the Knapp that you won't get from either listening to his testimony or the movie Serpico. But I love Pacino, so I immediately got into Serpico. And that's Frank Serpico right there. So that's the second police commission. So there's one police commission in 1931, starts in 1929, comes out in 31 and 32. So that's a 3-year commission. And then if you read about it, it's federal judges who are running this police commission. Okay? And so it's super, super interesting. It is super, super interesting. And so then right here in the 1972 Knapp Commission comes out, Frank Serpico testifies. It is riveting to listen to his testimony. It is riveting. And then here's the big one. Here's the big one. This is the big one. And this is the one I'm going to read for you guys a little bit. I actually brought some water over here. I brought some water in case I get a little parched. And I put a carpet down here so that there'd be a little less echo. I'm worried about my brand. Are you, bro? You worried about your brand? You worried about your brand? Is that what you're worried about? What I don't do is say anybody's names ever, because I think it's just inappropriate as one man. I don't think you should take any kind of personal relationship and put it out in the airways, unless you're a bitch. You know, if you're a bitch, then you can do it. But I just tell you, I'm disappointed in that person who talked about his brand today. It was disheartening. But now, I said the other day on a live here that if you have not read the 1994 Mollen Commission, and it's pronounced Mollen after, and the guy's name is right here. So these guys' names right here. This is Harold Baer, right? And this is Herbert Evans, Robert C. Harold, right? And this is Milton Mollen, right? These are federal judges. So you know, it's kind of tough because we also appoint federal judges, which I think is a fucking joke. Our country's a joke with appointments. Then there's no accountability to the people. And so now each one of these, the Wickersham takes 4 years, the Knapp Commission is just under 3 years, and then the Mollen Commission is 3 years as well. So you're talking about 10 years of police study on these guys, and what it comes out with is that police are totally lawless. Now, what I did with this is I kind of put some tabs in here, and I've had this tab for a long time. I've read this on TikTok a few times, but now I want to read it to you guys because just the table of contents alone. If you're an auditor, oh baby, that's the one I like, because this is so good. This will make you feel so warm and fuzzy inside. It validates everything you've ever thought about these pieces of garbage who sign up to be authoritarian losers. Really, just absolute trash. And so the forward alone is pretty good, but I'm not going to read the forward. I'm going to jump right into the table of contents for you guys, because just the table of contents alone is so fucking gold. So when we get to the top here, it says here, the commission investigations, the new nature of corruption in policing. So they do a correlation between violence and corruption. There are some guys who sign up to be a police officer. There are some guys who sign up to be a police officer who sign up to be, you know, good. That they think they're going to change the Dark Star from within. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're signing up to be a tyrant, and it's only a matter of when you become a tyrant. It's when, bro. Let me just read it. Let me read it so you're not going to take my word for it. So then right here it says, the new nature of corruption and drugs, the new character of police corruption. The new character. Crew corruption. The new organization of corruption. Now remember, you've got 7 years of police commissions, so the people doing the investigations, they read those other commissions before they started this one. And so then it says here, methods to create corruption. Profile of today's corrupt cop. Well, it's all of them. and by the way, Serpico says exactly that. Serpico says at Congress that it's all of them. That every single undercover NYPD officer is corrupt and on the take. So in 1994, this is going to be ordered by Bill Clinton. In 1992, it's going to come out in 94. And then here's the really shitty part, and then I'll go right back into it. The 1994 crime bill is going to be passed and signed into law in October of 1994, and then the Mollen Commission has come out and it said that cops are ACAB, right? And so what does the 94 crime bill do? It funds an ad organization in Chicago that creates the term called, guess what it is? Back the Blue. Yeah, I swear. Because they have such a black eye from the commission, and what do the cops do? They collect every single issue of this and burn it. Because in 1994, everybody's not on email. I was in college. I had an email address, but I had to go to the computer lab. I didn't have a computer. So then down here, this is where it just gets so good. And then you immediately want to go to this page. That's why I said it's such a fun read, because I didn't just read this like I read the Bible. I read the Bible from front to back like it was a novel, right? I read this in little bits and chunks. And this says, theft from street dealers. There it is right there. Theft from street dealers. And then the next one's theft from radio runs. What do you think that's about? Theft from radio runs. What do you think that's about? So a little bit of backlog, just so that you know, just so that you can understand, right? The way you have the term call girl, if anybody's ever hired a call girl, right? Call girl, right? Where does that term come from? That term comes from when the police first created and invented shortwave radios. If you didn't know that, now you know, right? And so what happened was, when a guy would come out of the bar drunk or wherever, he would then go to a cop and say, I need to get a chick, and he would get a call to the guy 50 or 100 yards down the way and say, I'm looking for a girl, and that's how you get the term, instead of prostitute, called a call girl. That's how it happens. That's how you get the term call girl. So then down here it says raids, doing drugs, booming doors. Raids, doing drugs, and booming doors. If you haven't read that little section, it's a gem. And then the next one down, theft from lawful, I'm sorry, my eyes are kind of fucked up here. Theft from lawful searches and seizures. Thefts from lawful searches and seizures. And remember, this isn't a 15-minute study. This is a 3-year commission where they give a bunch of cops immunity if they'll just tell the truth. And then right here it says, theft from car stops and drug couriers. Thefts from drug stops and car couriers. And then it says down here, cops as drug dealers. Cops as drug dealers. That's what it says right down here. Cops protecting and assisting narcotics trafficking. By the way, marijuana is called a narcotic all the way up through into, I think they still call marijuana a narcotic all the way up until the year 2000, 2002, somewhere in there. I think somewhere in there. And so then, on the next page of the contents, which is just as much fun as the rest, right? And then this says, Section 3, Police Violence and Brutality. Now listen, this is a frickin' fascinating read. This is fascinating. This blew me away. And this says, the links between brutality and corruption. Now, I didn't highlight this, but this honestly was the first section that I ever read of this entire book. Was right here. The link between corruption and brutality. And I can paraphrase it for you a little bit. I actually want to get into some of the literature that I tabbed here. But what it says is that you take the most square cop who signs up to be a good Johnny Appleseed. You mean a guy who has zero skills, can't do anything with his life, can't get a job being a fisherman, can't be an actor, can't be a dancer, can't be a producer, can't do anything. So he signed up to be a cop. Those are your skills. So some of those guys who have no skills, they sign up to do good. And that, I'm not saying all people are horrifically bad. You're not evil. Just, yeah, you sign up to be a cop, you're evil, bro. Sorry, dude. You're signing up to Terry stop people, put me in handcuffs, and I'm stronger than you are, and I have to submit to you. And I don't like that, right? So now right here, when this link between police brutality and corruption, here's how they turned good cops. The way they would, I'll read it for you, but the way they do it is, if you're a good Johnny Appleseed, they know that if they get you hyped up and say, oh man, this guy over here, he molested a girl down there, and he raped a woman over there, and then he beat his mother, right? And what happens is, when you turn that corner, and you hurt somebody, right? Which, by the way, I stopped fighting in the streets when I was 25 after I fought the world champions from the UFC, and I realized, oh man, oh dude, I know a little bit more than some other people who haven't been fighting in cages, right? And so I remember being 25 and just backing down from people, just backing down. People picked a fight with me at the bar because my ears were all mangled, and they'd be like, oh, you're a tough guy, you're a wrestler? And I would just back down from that. And the reason why I did was because I already knew how this would go. You know, I'm 25 years old, bro, and I'm fighting Ken Shamrock to go fight Shinaki. I'm fighting Guy Metzger to go fight Tito Ortiz. I'm the wrestler in the fight camp fighting them, right? So I realized that this isn't really the right thing to do, because there's a barometer inside of me that is right, and there's a barometer that is wrong, right? And so the link between corruption and brutality is, if they can get a cop to get too violent and really hurt another guy, hurt a citizen, well, then he's much more likely to flip and become corrupt. And what do you want him to do? You want him to be corrupt with you. Ask Serpico. Listen to the Serpico tapes. Listen to the Serpico tapes. He wasn't lying. Serpico wasn't lying. He was not lying. Okay, he was not lying, dude. And so then, as you go down here, and this is and for all of you auditors, the code of silence, the blue wall of silence, which I think I read that next, right? Because I jumped around I don't even know if I've read every word of this or not because of how much I've jumped around, because the table of contents is just so fucking delicious, right? And so then it says, the erosion of values and pride. The erosion of values and pride. And then when we get down here, this is gonna blow you away. And then it says police cynicism, and then moral character and fitness, police unions, and then the conclusion of the police culture. And then it comes down here, chapter 4, and I read this entire chapter. Matter of fact, I read it a couple times because I had to understand how this could be happening in our country, how we could create an organization with absolute power with no checks and balances. And I read this section a few times. And that's how I'm able to recite some of these things, right? Chapter 4, the collapse of department corruption controls. The collapse, right? And then down here, there's a different section of it, the creation and corruption of the department's integrity system. And just so you know, William Bratton right here, this guy's a gigantic, I pray to God he burns in hell. He's a piece of shit. I'm not going to get sidetracked because of my ADHD, but I want to keep going down the line, try to give you guys chronologically as much as I can. And then right here, it says here, spreading accountability, the new anti-corruption apparatus. And so when I read the new anti-corruption apparatus, I was like, well, what the new one, what do you mean? What they say here is that, I'll read it to you. I'll read you the exact same things. And then right here on the next one down, I told you the table of contents is just gold. And I give this to you for free, by the way. And you can get it offline, but it's not going to be paginated like this so we can discuss the same pages, right? And because if you have any questions about, okay. It is so good, you have no idea, right? So then it says right here, performance evaluations, willful blindness. Willful blindness. And how many times do we see that in today's world? Resource and management failures, integrity control officers. What integrity? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then down here in the next chapter, and we haven't even gotten to the meat of it yet. We haven't even, listen, if people are coming in, as long as they can't get my account shut down, they can troll all they want. Sorry, you're not allowed to call anybody farm animals. You're not allowed to farm animals. Disorderly product news. Hey, I know disorderly product news. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I don't know how to make anybody a moderator. I don't know how. But which, by the way, if you guys have not followed Disorderly Product News channel, he is one of the first auditors I ever followed. He knows as much information as I do, if not more. Disorderly Product News has an amazing channel. If you guys have not seen it, he has an amazing channel. I just want to give him a shout out because someone said his name in here. So now right here, it says, this is chapter 4. It says, the deterioration of investigative structure and the collapse of of IAD, Internal Affairs Division, and it's acronyms and I don't know them off the top of my head. I believe it's called the Field Internal Affairs Office. It's called the Field Internal Affairs Office. So the collapse of those two things, and that's the last one on this page. But wait, there's more. This is the gift that keeps giving. If you have not read the Mollen Commission, I literally came on here tonight because I was like, you know what? I just took a look and I was like, most people talking to me are auditors. Man, if you haven't read this, bro, you need to send me an email through DeleteLawZ and I will get you this tonight. There'll be no delay. Okay? I see we have a troll farm. So how do I do it? There you go. I added you as a moderator, Miguel. Clean them. Just wipe them out. If people are going to troll, they can get the flock out of here. Disorderly, can I trust you? Can I trust you, Disorderly? I mean, can I trust you, brother? Can I trust you, Disorderly? Because I'll add you as a moderator. You're one of my favorite. You're one of my favorite auditors, by the way. I just want to let you know that. And you know, I'm building my own little. I mean, would I call this a brand? Is this a brand, or is this I don't give a flying fuck and I want change? Excuse me for the kids. Is that what this is? Because this is what this is to me. That's what this is to me. Okay, I added Miguel as a moderator. I added Miguel as a moderator. So Miguel, just clean house, dude. Just wipe them out. I don't give a shit. As long as my channel can't get taken down, I don't really care. You guys can say whatever the fuck you want about me. I really don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about a brand. I don't care if people like me. I don't give a shit. Excuse me for the bad language. I know that a lot of people want to show this to kids, so I'll try to clean up the F word. I apologize for that. I'll try to be a little bit better just for children because I created the ebook, which by the way, since we have a second, I'll just sidetrack here just for a moment. Now my ebook on my traveling here. Did I add Miguel as a moderator? Did I add Miguel as a moderator? I can add T. Roy as a moderator. T. Roy I've known for a long time. T. Roy, you're welcome to kick him right out of the room, bro. I don't give a shit. If you're not here to learn the message, then take a hike, dude. Then take a hike. Go somewhere else, man. There's other things you can do. If you haven't noticed, it's us against them. And so my brand doesn't mean anything to me. I don't give a shit about a brand. If you don't like me, I don't care. So now the ebook, which my ebook got thrashed when I drove over here from California, and I drove all the way to Missouri, and then I drove around Missouri, and then I drove east a little bit further, and I was going to go to Florida. Okay. Okay. Miguel, I removed you because I don't know you yet, but I did add T. Roy. I totally trust T. Roy. So T. Roy, go ahead and sure. Okay. So now look, the reason why I made the ebook this way, right? This is the reason. Oh, and so for people who are auditors, this is the 1987 case of Houston versus Hill, and I want to show you guys one that's a little bit better. So this is the Kerr versus California holding. So the reason I made it like this, and just so you know, these are the actual holdings from the Supreme Court. These are the actual words, because every time I went to go write the words out, by the time I was down to my second or third line, I was pissed. Right? By the time I got to my second or third line, especially in Kerr versus California, it's disgusting. I made this so that you could read it to kids. Now don't get me wrong, you should know the holding as well. You should know the holding. And this is the exact holding that's in the ebook. And I got it so you would read it to kids, so you could say, here's the unelected Supreme Court. These are the people. They're faceless, and they have their names here, but they're all faceless. Okay? They're all faceless people because they're garbage. They're garbage. The Supreme Court's full of garbage. And so what you do when you read this to kids is you read the holding, and I cartooned it with a kid in Africa. Which, by the way, if you guys need someone to do your cartoon work, hit up my buddy in Africa. He's great, and he's only like 22 years old, and he's really trying to make a living for himself. So now right here, I cartooned it, and it says Kerr versus California, 1963, and the holding says Kerr has been cited by subsequent decisions both for the holding of the Fourth Amendment incorporation and for allowing warrantless search as in seizures with probable cause or to prevent destruction of contraband. So did you see what I said? Or to prevent the destruction of contraband. Now those little tiny words right there means that the police can just knock on your door and burst it open. Kerr versus California makes me particularly sick. It goes Carroll, Brinegar, Kerr, Terry. Those are the four cases. As a matter of fact, I thought about opening a website called Those Four Names. I talked to someone who's a YouTuber about creating a joint channel and calling it Carroll, Brinegar, Kerr, Terry. Now that relationship never flourished to the point where we could do that. However, and with the controversy that I'm in, some people are afraid. I'm not. So now when I talk about, and then when I talk about so if you ever hear me rant and rave about Scalia, if you ever hear me rant and rave about how much of a piece of garbage Scalia was, These are the three cases. And if you don't notice something, now when they're whited out, they dissented, and when they're in the black robes, they voted for it. And so these are three cases. This is Lopez, Morrison, Gonzalez versus Reich. Because Lopez is United States, Morrison's versus United States, and Gonzalez versus Reich is when the Attorney General Gonzalez, who was working for the Bush administration, when he took Reich to court for homegrown marijuana. Now, the reason why I show this page to you if you smoke marijuana is because in the 1995 case of Lopez, and this is how you show the kids, we had a chance in 1995, they were using the Commerce Clause, and this was for gun laws, and over here, these are the conservatives, and they voted against using the Commerce Clause in Lopez. And then right down here, in this case down here, this is the Violence Against Women's Act, and the conservatives voted against using the Commerce Clause to create the Violence Against Women's Act. And who's in there? Scalia's in there, Scalia's in there. And both times he's a textualist. I've seen every single YouTube video Scalia's ever been in. He's a fraud. And because then right here, in Gonzalez versus Reich, if you notice the two conservatives down here, Stevens and Scalia, they then vote for the Commerce Clause because this would make marijuana legal. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia, burning in hell today, they collude together to make sure marijuana stay legal. Ruthie goes to him and says, hey, buddy, we want to stay authoritarian, don't you? And he goes, yes, of course I do, Ruthie. He goes, but I'm a textualist. I'm against using the Commerce Clause, and I've proven it twice in two major cases, one against violence against women and one against guns. And he goes, but you know what, Ruthie, it's against marijuana, and I hate marijuana, so I'll vote with you. Fraud. Okay. So, as we continue down the line of the Mollen Commission, if it doesn't piss you off, well, because you don't understand, is that the number one crime in America today, what is it? Anybody? What is it? What's the number one crime? Number one reason why someone goes to a dungeon today, marijuana. In every state in the union, the number one crime today is marijuana. Still. You legalize where you are? Number one reason someone goes to jail in your state's for marijuana. Number one reason someone gets arrested. Number one reason someone's car gets tossed. Number one reason someone's house gets raided. Just pisses me off. So then here, and we're still in the gift that keeps on giving here, I think we turned the page. Okay, so now we're at the top of the next page of contents. I don't even know, because I'm only going to stay on for an hour. So I only want to make sure I get through the pages that are just juicy, right? And so right here at the top of this one says fragmenting, minimizing, and concealing police corruption cases. Fragmenting and minimizing. Oh, but they're good people because they're cops. Minimizing corruption through investigation. The Michael Dowd 75th Precinct investigation. Michael Dowd is the same as Serpico in the 94. Michael Dowd, he testifies. The 9th Precinct of New York. Just riveting. I mean, and then when you get into the exhibits back here, the exhibits are just incredible. The exhibits are testimony from cops who were given immunity. This whole book is incredible. And so then right here it says favoritism towards high-ranking officers. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? Favoritism towards your favorite person in the clique. I've experienced that on TikTok. I've experienced that on YouTube. I've experienced that with BLM. And I'm sure that my next one, I'll experience that within the Patriot group. Favoritism. Oh, this person's better than this. No, we're not. I've lived in Hollywood for 20 years. You know better than anybody else. I don't give a shit if you book that part. Who cares? You know better than anybody else. You know how much stuck-up attitude there is? And it's not just in Hollywood, so don't think I'm bashing Hollywood. I love Hollywood. I live there. Favoritism in policing. Oh, yeah, and then this goes into the Scalabrino case. Do you guys know about the Scalabrino case? Does anybody here know? Does anybody here know about the Scalabrino case? Does anybody here know about the Scalabrino case? Okay. So, and then this next, so remember, we're not even through the whole table of contents yet. And it's just so good, right? So in the department's flawed investigative and intelligence gathering efforts. In other words, and this chapter, just to paraphrase it, what it says is that they don't really do the investigation. They're more concerned about the image of impropriety, about the image of their brand being ruined. I've heard that today, by the way, that their brand could be damaged. Oh, so sorry to hear your brand could be damaged, right? And so then right here, as we continue forward, it says here, the failure to employ proactive techniques, failed undercover programs, field association, and undercover operatives. The Internal Affairs Division, active desk. Do you know about Active Desk and the Internal Affairs Division? So let me just give you guys a little bit of rundown what Internal Affairs is. If you haven't read the Mollen Commission and you don't know how Internal Affairs works, here's how it works. You're a cop. You sign up to be a police officer, right? You sign up to do that, and then you do that job, right? And then you get recruited by Internal Affairs, and then you go work in Internal Affairs. But you worked for years with these guys over here, and you may not know the cop under Internal Affairs investigation, but I know him, and you and I work together. So then I go to you and I go, dude, you don't want to mess with Jimmy. Jimmy's great, man. You know what I'm saying? And the Internal Affairs Division, as you'll find out in the Mollen, are as afraid of being labeled a rat and as afraid of being killed by the internal organization of the blue wall of silence that you and I are today. Right? And so then as we continue down the line here, it says, the department abandoned its responsibility to change the culture of corruption. They abandoned their responsibility to change the culture of corruption. And what are we dealing with today? You go to a dungeon. Cop comes up. Oh, you know what? I don't like your attitude. There's an attitude test. And you go to jail. Commitment to integrity, recruitment and screening, recruitment and in-service performance evaluation, integrity training. So just so you know, as you know, I'm a big proponent of the founding philosophy of America. The founding philosophy, right? And so what's the founding philosophy? If you guys did not look up Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he literally is my favorite philosopher of all time. He wrote 2 different books. I believe one's published in 1750, the other is he's born in 1721, 1731. I have dyslexia, so my brain kind of messes up, right? But Jean-Jacques Rousseau is just beautiful. He's a beautiful human being. And he says, the part I just read about having integrity, sorry, bud. Sorry. No such thing. You don't have it and I don't have it. Did you know that? You don't have morality and neither do I. Did you know that? And if you read Jean-Jacques Rousseau's books, you'll find out you have no integrity. As soon as you become corrupted by materialism or by possessions or by alcohol or by drugs or by lust, you don't have any integrity. You don't have any morality. Right? Now, me personally, because of my own personal experiences, I'll give you a simple one with women in general, all women. When my sister was raped when I was 12 and had a baby, right? That made it so that when I interacted with women, even though the communication between the sexes is always difficult, right? As far as me being anything like what happened to my sister, I literally was like, no, baby, like you got to do the deed here. Like if you want this, you got to like do it yourself, right? That's how I was growing up all through high school and through college, because my internal disgust for what happened to my sister made it so that I would be that way. But when you read this word here, that police integrity training, sorry, buddy, not possible. The only thing that gives you integrity is when someone's standing over your shoulder watching you. That's the only thing that gives you integrity. Now, you may be a good person. Don't think that I'm saying that all morality, you can't be somewhat of a moral human being, that you can't put principle over materialism or principle over what your own personal wants are. And if you read Jean-Jacques Rousseau, I'm only paraphrasing some of the things that he wrote. But you can't take a cop and give him absolute power and then say we're going to put you through integrity training. Because what do we know to be a fact? Power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And with no checks and balances on cops, we have the disgusting policing we have today. If this doesn't fire you up, then you're not alive, baby. You're not alive. You're not alive. Oh, you don't like me? I don't care. You can't take it? Get out of the kitchen. It's too hot for you. I don't want to mess up your brand. So now, right here, down here, drug testing. This drug testing one right here, read about the drug testing. I'm not going to get into that tonight. And then the New York City residency requirement, okay? So then there's only one more page of table of contents. I'm at 44 minutes. I'll probably only get into a couple of things, and then I got to jump. I got to get this edit done for one of my investors. I got to raise some cash to sue these guys. And so it's just such a hard thing I'm dealing with right now, because I've been cut off financially, because I made about $150 depending on the day on TikTok from people buying my posters and stuff, and now it's just abysmal. So some people who've watched this though have jumped in, $10 here, and I'm so grateful. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And I guarantee you this: I don't stop until we overturn Terry. You may quit. You may worry about what people think of you. You may worry about getting arrested. I'm not worried about any of those things. I don't give a flying about those things. I don't care. The day they hurt me is the day this movement galvanizes, because there's a lot of people who know me and a lot of people who know that I'm dedicated to overturning Terry. And I'll never stop until it's done. And I don't care if people have a hard time with that. So now right here, now we're on command accountability. I got a text today. From a cop friend of mine. He's an ex-cop in New York. I never tell anybody's names. I never say names. I never will. So I got a text today from my friend. He's now living down in the South. I'm not going to tell you where he lives. But we became friends in 2013 when I was an executive in Manhattan. And I had opened up the Manhattan office, and you know, I was making like $250,000 every 6-7 months, right? So I mean, I know that I have the skills to go do those things. I was miserable. I hated it. Making all this money, sending money off to friends and family who needed money, I was miserable. I hated it, right? So then right here, as we get into it, internal affairs investigations. And I only highlighted the top line here because once you start in this, you will not stop. Once you start at the top line of this one, you won't stop, baby. This is so good. Right? And it says here, internal affairs operations, recruitment of qualified investigators. Who's qualified to investigate other cops within the cop division? Intelligence gathering operations, investigative approaches. Oh, I want to approach this. Hey, Jimmy, you know, I know you guys set up a van on the corner and you brought some woman in there and she was gone for a few hours. But, you know, we're gonna approach you, Jimmy. Command liaisons, civil rights investigations. So what happened was my cop friend, and the reason why I talked about this is because he's always telling me, oh, Chille, it's not about the cops, it's about the law. It's about the law. Apparently, bro, I'm not going to say your name in case you watch this. It's about the cops, dude. Apparently. I mean, just apparently to a 3-year study here and 7 years before, it's about the cops who have no checks and balances over them. And then sanctions and deterrence is community policing and community outreach. What a joke. Because the 94 crime bill comes out, right? And there's the COPS program, Community-Oriented Policing Services. Have you ever heard of that? And if you haven't heard of it, do you know what it actually does? The Community-Oriented Policing Services attaches to the Judge Advocate General Fund. And all the cops have to do is apply to the Judge Advocate General Fund and say, we want new cops in our city, and the federal government will pay for cops for the first year or two. I can't find the information, but it's there somewhere. And the COPS program will then mint new cops in your city, your state, your town, that then will go on your budget in a year or 2 or 3 or however long it takes. And then you got to cover their pension. So that playground you guys were going to build, that community center you're going to build, the jobs program you guys were going to invest into, no. You now have a half a dozen cops that need their salary paid and their pension. And if you guys haven't looked up Transparent California and looked at what the cops are making in my home state, they are making $400,000 a year. Beat cops are making $120,000. Since when are cops elitists? I thought they didn't have any skills at all. They were just willing to put on a badge, carry a gun, and beat people up. That's what I thought. Am I mistaken? So then it says here, monitoring performance of anti-corruption system. Monitoring the performance of the anti-corruption, well, there is none. And so now, because I'm at 48 minutes here, I'm just going to jump right into some of these things. And I tabbed these a while ago, so I'm just going to jump into the first tab right away here. With no delay. And the very first one is the one that I talked about, which was my absolute favorite thing to read. It was my favorite thing to read. And this is the link between police brutality and corruption. And then what it says here, we also found that some officers are violent simply for the sake of being violent. These forms of violence also were important consequences for corruption. One officer from Brooklyn particularly told us how he and his colleagues once threw a bucket of ammonia in the face of an individual detained in a precinct holding pen. They called it a pen. You can't call these guys PIGS on YouTube, but they call it a holding pen. You go into a pen and they throw ammonia in your face. Another cooperating officer told us how he and his colleagues threw garbage and then boiling water on the person hiding from underneath of the dumbbell shaft. Colley and his friends once sliced up an escape rope hanging from a drug dealer's window so that if anybody tried to use the escape rope, they would tumble to the ground to their death. Did you know that? And so then the gems inside of this, the gems are when they give the cop qualified immunity. I'm so sorry. They all get qualified immunity. When they get immunity from prosecution for talking to the commission. And this one here says, question, do you beat people up when you arrest them? No. We beat people up in general. If they're on the street hanging around a drug location, we use a show of force. Question, why were the beatings done? To show who's in charge. We're in charge. The police are in charge. Does that validate any of the things you guys have seen on the streets? Does that validate anything? Many of them believe that, I just highlighted this portion right here. Many do not believe that there's really anything wrong with a few blows, a few blunts, a few bruises. And now even officers who would never even take a free cup of coffee seem to tolerate what they believe in being a little bit of street justice. Remember, this is how they turn that same cop who won't have a cup of coffee for free, but they turn him by just inciting him to beat someone badly. Because then they hold over his head, oh, you remember that guy you beat up on 16th Street? We're going to turn you in. And so then it says here, police need to show who's boss in crime-ridden neighborhood. They need to show, it's often the attitude. The view unnecessary force as a means to an end. The law is made of ivory tower legislators, law enforcement, and is achieved by those who know the streets, and we told them. It is for this reason that honest and corrupt officers alike have reported that the wall of silence is even greater in the areas, it's even greater when it comes to police brutality. Have you heard that before? So it's even greater. So now let me jump here. I'm going to jump here. I'm going to go to the next page here. So just so you know, this is in the anti-corruption. This is in the police brutality, tying corruption to brutality. That's this section here. Let me kill that heater real quick. Okay. And maybe that was sorry about that. So then right here, as we're gonna go down the page here. Oh, this is just this right here. The department's past commanders are largely to blame for the state of affairs. While we recognize that civilian complaint review boards are responsible for investigating mostly brutality investigations, this does not excuse the department from its responsibility for preventing and eradicating the use of acceptance of brutality among its members. No, okay? It does not exempt the department. We don't need the department to investigate themselves. These are judges who wrote this. They're still along the lines that cops can investigate themselves. So even within the police commission, you have to have a keen eye and look for it. This does not exempt the department from doing their own. What are you talking about? It'll never work. Because power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. As long as you give one man absolute power over another man, he will abuse it. If I take any of the people in this room and you give me absolute power over you, it's only a matter of when I abuse it. It's only a matter of when. And I believe that I'm one of the most principled persons on earth. Doesn't matter. Power corrupts you. I tell the story of the first time I got the first $500,000 for a film I was producing. The first time I got the big chunk of money 10 years ago or so when an investor gave me $500,000. I was a tyrant. My attitude went to shit. I treated people badly. I look back on that time. I apologize to you if you worked with me on that show. So sorry I was such a prick. I didn't understand how much the power would corrupt me, and that power came in the form of money. No, we do not need police investigating themselves. So now I'm jumping ahead here. I'm not sure which section this is in, but I just want to do the back and forth here. And it says, how do police officers learn about the wall of silence, the code of silence? And then he says, Otto's his name. So Otto, probably from New York, right? Talks like that, right? So it says, it starts in the precinct, and it just develops from there. It starts with this instructors telling you to never be a rat, never give up your fellow officer. It starts with other recruits telling you that they'll never give you up. It just goes down the line from there. And then down into the precincts. One former recruit told us that while at the training academy, she made a complaint to internal affairs that some other academy instructors constantly made her and other women recruits feel uncomfortable. Despite the assurances of confidentiality, Internal Affairs informed the academy supervisors of her complaints. Within days, she was ostracized by her fellow recruits, even those who had been her best friends and academy personnel. Those are the good guys. Those are the ones who went to integrity training. The fear of violating the code of silence can even lead to an officer to accept the blame and punishment for the act of another officer. Henbury testified in an incident where he was still a rookie. He and a partner strapped a motorcycle. He and a partner stopped a motorcycle for a number of traffic violations. Because the driver became irate, Henbury's partner thought it would be a good idea to teach him a lesson by removing a spark plug coil from the disabled engine. Eventually, charges for damaging the motorcycle were wrongly put against Henbury, not his partner. But the code of silence compelled Henbury to accept the punishment, a loss of 15 days of pay, for something he did not do. Henbury knew that the punishment for breaking the code of silence would be far worse than the punishment he received from the police. And then here's Henbury's actual testimony where he's given immunity to testify. It says, "And the spark plug, I had nothing to do with it, but yet the charges were brought against me. I took the hit, lost 15 days, and that was the end of it." Question. So you took a 15-day hit all because you just could not label a rat and just because you couldn't be labeled a rat and tell the truth about who was really responsible for damaging the motorcycle. That's exactly correct. That's correct. Oh God. This was the first chapter that I read. This was the first, because I think you go right into you go right into the collapse of the corruption controls. And then this is a quote from the Internal Affairs Division Supervisor, Police Commissioner. "All parts of the department's corruption system had been functioning terribly for years. Top commanders in and outside of internal affairs seemed too concerned about I'm so sorry, let me read it again. Top commanders in and outside of internal affairs didn't seem too concerned about that, however, because it guaranteed no bad headlines. But when they heard of an independent monitoring commission was being set up to see how they were doing in the corruption area, things started to change very quickly." Right there. And that's on page 70. So what did I just get pissed off about? What did I just start ranting and raving about? As soon as the cops found out that there's someone going to be looking over your shoulder, right? And what do I preach, if you guys haven't seen my other YouTube videos? That we need a third-party organization. You fire half of these police officers, and you hire a new third party that is literally, and what did James Madison say in the Federalist Papers? He actually quoted Montesquieu, in case you didn't know. It's actually Montesquieu's quote. But James Madison famously says, and he writes in the Federalist Papers, "You have to have men's ambition to counter men's ambition." As soon as these men found out there was other men who were ambitious that were coming in, they started to change their tune. But yet we have this frickin' dungeon system here. And it's not getting any better. The reason for the collapse can be summarized in a few words: a deep-seated institutional reluctance to uncover serious corruption with no independent external pressure to counter it. What did I just say? I'm not a federal judge. From top brass down, there's often a debilitating fear about police corruption disclosures because it was often perceived as an embarrassment of the department and likely to engender a loss of public confidence. Well, hey, coppers, if you guys are watching this, you're trolling me, we've already lost confidence in you, brother. You are the problem. You are the fear in the night. You are the darkness. You're the reason why people are afraid on the road. I drove a cop car when I rented a cop car for a production I did, and you should have seen how people were afraid of me the moment I pulled behind them. So if you're a cop, you are the fear. And you know, as I say that, I know a lot of you guys are going to enjoy that. Well, just know something, brother. Without that badge and that gun, you would have zero chance against a real man. Zero, dude. And I'm angry with cops because of how many times they've hurt me. How many times they put me in handcuffs. They no-knock raided my house. I'll never be over it. I'll never be over it, dude. Okay? They earn it. They earn the hate, someone said. The entire attitude infected the entire department, manifests itself in different ways throughout the ranks. It encouraged the department's top managers to allow corruption controls to wither and to neglect and to denial of resources. So they're going to investigate themselves, but they're going to deny resources and they're going to cut the investigation short. Okay, got it. Check, please. This one's called willful blindness. This was the beginning of that, the first part of that section 4. And this says, the reason supervisors' willful blindness varies. Some believe that the superiors want them to be good administrators, not effective corruption fighters. Others believe that uncovering corruption would harm rather than help the careers, as the collapse of command accountability has proven. And then down here on the footnote, which, by the way, if you get into the footnotes, it's even more fun reading. But then it says down here, the commission cannot at this time disclose the names of those supervisors because we expect that many of them will be subjects of the department's inquiries. So did you read what I just said? Did you read it? Did you hear it? Let me say it again. So this is the Mollen Commission by Milton Mollen. These are all federal judges. And then it talks about how disgusting the supervisors are, how they either hinder, cut off, cut funding, or just lie about the investigation. And then down here, this is from the federal judges who wrote this. This is how bad it is. The commission, the federal judges and the investigators, the commission cannot at this time disclose the names of the supervisors because we expect many of them will be subjects of department inquiries. Yeah, you know, we should inquire. We should inquire into what these rat bastards did. That's what we should do. We should inquire. This is a 94. Can we know now? Can anybody file a FOIA request? Can we know now who they were? Is that okay with you guys? Is it okay? We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Oh, yeah. And then when you get into the performance evaluation sheets and stuff like that, oosh, it just will make you sick to your stomach. It just will make you sick to your stomach. It really, really will. Page 136 here, which, by the way, when San Joaquin Valley Transparency came to my office, right, it just so happens, right, that I am well-versed on this book. And at San Joaquin Transparency, easily one of my favorite channels. Easily. Those guys are amazing over there at San Joaquin. Are you kidding me? Every single member who's involved, and they have their own channels, San Joaquin Audits, I can't remember all the channels off the top of my head, but those guys over there, San Joaquin Valley Transparency, I'm so grateful to you guys, and I always will be. Thank you so much. Thank you. So when they came in, though, and they were interviewing me for the first big interview I ever had, and I consider it big because the more exposure we can get to Overturn Terry, I'll do any interview with the right, with the left, with the center. You can go MSNBC, Fox News, Drudge Report. You can go to anything. I'll do an interview about it if we talk about overturning Terry and ending the corrupt state. So this is internal investigations, and this says here, oh, and the reason I talk about San Joaquin Valley is because they came in and they said, so tell me about internal affairs investigations, and they were blown away when I went, boop, right there, right there. And I didn't have it tabbed back then. I just knew it. I love those guys, man. San Joaquin's great. So over the past years, this commission, the media, recently, the department itself, have focused a great deal on the attention and the litany of failures of the department's internal anti-corruption apparatus. As the commission has reported, our investigators revealed a corruption investigation system that was often mired and even concealed corruptions rather than rooted out the problem. Oversight of internal affairs was virtually non-existent. Intelligence gathering efforts were negligible. Corruption investigations were often deliberately limited and prematurely closed, as the appearance of integrity was more important than the actual reality. In short, genuine commitment to fighting corruption had virtually disappeared, and Internal Affairs had abandoned its mission to remove serious corruption from the department. Okay. Just pisses me off. It just pisses me off. And then this is the last one I'll read, and this is the top of chapter 6. And this is going to send you for a shock. This really will. I remember reading this and being like, yeah. And then I got to the footnote, and I was like, oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. So this is the last one I'll read because I'm at 64 minutes now. I got to spend an hour. I've been on YouTube Live for 2 hours today. So this one says, real quick flash so you can't read who actually wrote this and when. And this says, helping the police to police themselves. See that at the top? Helping the police to police themselves. The need for an independent external oversight. No. No, not an independent oversight, a solid third-party organization who does the audits that you and I do. And I don't do that many. The audits that you guys do. Has to be a third party who films them and collects the body cam footage and collects the dash cam footage. And that footage should be aired on every different, so imagine a building with 20 stories, and on every single TV, on body cam unit 1741B, whatever it is, that body cam unit goes on every TV on every floor of the anti-corruption unit. And I call it the Montesquieu, because he wrote the book on checks and balances called The Spirit of Laws. And so what this says here is helping the police with oversight. We don't need to help them. We need a third party for men's ambition to counter men's ambition. A considerable momentum for reform has been generated. After previous investigations, the momentum was allowed to evaporate. The question now is, will history repeat itself? Or does society finally realize that the police corruption is a problem that must be dealt with and not just talked about every 20 years? That's from the Knapp Commission in 1972. They took this from the Knapp Commission and they put it in the Mollen. So we've known since the Knapp from 1969 till 1972 that we've absolutely needed a third party to oversight, not to oversight. And by the way, if anybody ever says they need a commission or they need a citizen review board, immediately jump down their throat and say, no. We tried that shit. Citizen review boards just let us see all the corruption, and then the chief of police is the head of the citizen review board. It's like getting your gun from the police. You got to get it from the 1911 Sullivan Act. So just so you know, and I'll wrap this up for free. It's available for free, and it's paginated, so you can talk. And I didn't even get to the back. Oh man, these are some of the reports that were written. I mean, this is just. And then here's the actual report from a supervisor. What are you talking about, dude? With the new digital era, and this is something people are going to have to get used to. Big Brother's already watching us. You're going to have to get used to the idea that everything's going to go on camera. The way you keep the third-party organization clear is that there's cameras everywhere. There's no hiding in that building. And like I said, if you're a police officer and you're wearing a body cam, your body cam gets streamed on every floor of that 20-story building. So I call up to 17 and I go, yo, hey, disorderly, are you watching this, bro? Are you seeing camera 17B over here? Dude, that guy's beating him. And then we send out someone to arrest that cop. Corruption will dry up like that. That's how you keep a third party clean. Digital. It's all got to be digital. So again, these guys are available on DeleteLawZ.com. If you guys have not got my ebook yet, then I highly suggest that you get it. If you can buy it, great, buy it. If you can't, I'll give it to you for free. Okay? You can have the book for free. It's just an ebook. So I'll send it out to you for nothing. I'd appreciate it if you bought it, but if you can't, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because oh man, Caroline products, just disgusting. Caroline products. A lot of people will talk about footnote 4 from Caroline products, but I actually found footnote 2 and 3 much more riveting than footnote 4. Footnote 4 is about called strict scrutiny at the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court's garbage. Unless we elect those guys, we're in deep trouble. And then for all auditors, this is City of Houston versus Hill. This is for the ebook. This is City of Houston versus Hill. And the holding of this says, upon shouting at a police officer in an attempt to divert their attention from his friend during a confrontation, appellee was arrested for willful interruption, and a city policeman by verbally challenging him during an investigation. The Supreme Court upheld your constitutionality to be able to film police in the 1987 of Houston versus Hill, if you didn't know that. And then I tried to write the Terry laws. I tried to write out the Terry laws. Oh, you son of a... I told you this thing got thrashed. So then, if you guys maybe you heard about this guy. Maybe you heard about him. I don't know if you guys have heard about him or not. But maybe you've heard about this guy named George Floyd. Did you hear about him before? Maybe you heard of him. George Floyd was arrested because of the 2001 case of Atwater versus City of Lago Vista. That's why he's dead. Because these unelected people appointed for life said that you could be arrested. And there's another page that shows the actual holding. I just didn't want to mess up this page. And I have George Floyd here. And he was born in 1973 and died in 2020, was murdered. And what City of Lago Vista does in 2001, it's a 5-4 holding, and then the liberal David Souter writes the opinion, which, by the way, when you study the Supreme Court in extraordinary detail, what you find out is that if this side comes up with the holding, then they make the guy on this side write the holding. If they all agree, then they write the. And what David Souter wrote, I don't need to look it up. What it said is that if a police officer witnesses you commit a crime and break the law in front of him, it is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment right to be arrested and taken to the dungeon. Something like that, right? And so what is this based on? On Gail Atwater of City of Lago Vista being arrested because she was trolling along in the neighborhood going 5 or 10 miles an hour, and her 2 kids were in the back seat, and the cop had given her a ticket the week before or a month before for not wearing her seatbelt. And so then the cop decided, I'm going to teach this woman a lesson. I'm going to arrest her. And so he tried to put the kids in Division of Family Youth Services. He tried to call the city to take her kids to Division of Family Youth Services. But City of Lago Vista is a really pretty community in Texas. I looked it up. I looked at the map. And so the neighbors came out of the house and said, no, you're not giving her children to Division of Family Youth Services. So they snatched her kids and they arrested Gail Atwater. Gail Atwater was a white woman. She sued, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and then David Souter, the liberal, by the way, liberal conservatives in the Supreme Court, he writes that you can be arrested for any infraction of the law. So when you read this to kids, you show them he's dead, the unelected body did this, and it's from the 2001 case of City of Lago Vista. I made it like this so you'd read it to children. It's not, if some people who don't know the holdings, you should definitely read it too. But then as you teach, you learn more, which, by the way, I learned so much more just by teaching. Oh my God, I'm at 70 minutes. I'm so sorry for spending so much time on here tonight, but I really wanted to. I'm going to have to establish this new modus operandi here of YouTube. You guys do me a favor, share this video. I got to get some poster sales and ebook sales. I won't make it next month. That's a fact. But you know what? I'm controversial because I don't give a flying what anybody thinks. I don't care. Sorry, not sorry. I don't give a shit. We have a bigger goal here. We have a bigger mission. And if you're watching this, you have a bigger responsibility. You have to lead. And I've realized that a lot of people are journalists. They're not game changers. They're journalists. I've realized that. A lot of people who are on TikTok are influencers. A lot of people on YouTube are influencers. A lot of people on Twitter are influencers. But they are not game changers. You are the game changer. There's Terry versus Ohio, and there's the prison system, and there it is after that. My entire mission in life is to overturn Terry, and I won't do anything else. I won't produce another TV show. I won't take a job as executive producer. I won't take a job as executive. I won't do any of those things until we overturn Terry versus Ohio. And maybe at that point, some child will take up some 10-year-old kid who got that book read to him that I'll give to you for free if you can't afford it. It's no problem. I don't mind. By the way, I don't judge you. I don't got any money right now. You think I judge you for not having any money? Not one single bit. Not one single bit. A couple people donated to me today. One gave me 10 or 11 bucks, another gave me 10 or 11 bucks. I sent them everything for free. I sent them the downloads, the Mollen Commission. I sent them the posters they can print out at Office Max. I sent them everything. No delay. It's up to you, man. It's up to you. So, all right, man. Listen, any questions for me? I'll take 2 seconds of questions if you guys have any questions at all, and then I will get out of here. I got 3 small t-shirts left. They're 35 bucks. I got 3 small t-shirts left. This one looks like it's, just so you guys know, my mom washed this. It's not typically this tight, but I'm also getting jacked because when those guys send a bunch of death threats to me, I am training like a ninja. If you attack me, you're in trouble. There's a big black guy in Virginia named U.S. Army Overlord. You guys can go look him up. He's on Instagram. U.S. Army Overlord. He threatened me. Hey, brother, good luck. You tangle with me, son, I'll put you on the ground. I'll bounce your head off the concrete. Don't you ever think you can tangle with me. You're fat and you're out of shape. I would tear your ass apart. The only reason I don't is because I'm suing his buddy Jolly. I can't get in a fist fight and end up in jail before these lawsuits are filed. But that guy threatened me. Brother, I would bounce you off the concrete. Believe me, you're out of shape, bro. You're soft. You're soft. All right? There's my warning to you. You ever threaten me in real life? If I see you in real life, don't think that you're going to... It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. I don't bully people. I don't bully people. Don't you think you can bully me, you piece of garbage? You cannot bully me, bro. I'm 210 pounds. I will destroy you, dude. Can't believe that guy threatened me. I can't believe he threatened me. I used it. I pretended like I was scared. Oh man, my life's in danger. I'm so afraid. I fought Ken Shamrock 1,000 times. I'm not afraid of you, bro. Okay. Okay. No, that black guy, he's not 12. He's like 30 or 40 years old. I think he's 50. I think he's 50 years old. That black guy, his name's U.S. Army Overlord. He's not 30 or 40. He's not, but dude, if you guys can't tell, everything for the last month of me has tightened up tighter because I'm training like a ninja. I really don't want to fight someone on the street. We have a mission to accomplish here. There's a mission here. But the guy threatened me. And he makes his, he's so fat and out of shape, dude. Dude, you would get destroyed. And I don't want to kill anybody. So when you beat people up on the street, the last fist fight I got into in the street, I was 25. I did bounce the guy's head off the concrete and he didn't move. And I swore to God then and there, I'll never do this again. I'll never do it again. Never. No matter how much big my ego is, even talking shit about U.S. Army lords, you don't have anything to fear from me, brother. I'm not coming after you, dude. I'm not coming to you to fight you. Now, if you attack me, my friend, do me that favor. Oof. Makes me so upset, you know what I'm saying? That's a bully. That's a bully. That's a bully. Someone who thinks that someone isn't tough and that they can bully them. Brother, I'm just rambling. It pissed me off just thinking about it. This is not a good example for children, so I need to change my tune here. I apologize. I'm just upset that some guy threatened my life. You know, like threatened that he said he's gonna attack me on the street. That's what he said. He made a video saying he was gonna attack me on the street. That's what he said. So anyway, any questions? And by the way, you know, we can't ding the head. I can't ding my head. I gotta keep the head clear. Can't ding the head. But it just, you know, I got an ego. It makes me mad. He's a nobody. That's right. He's an absolute nobody. That's right. Sorry, guys. I apologize. My ego's as big as Manhattan, and I need to calm it down. I really do. I really do. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I've sat here and bared my soul about my life, every single detail, and I've never lied, because if you do, they'll find out. Other than I was scared. My life's in danger. I was thinking to myself, oh, dude, you know. So anyway, all right, thanks for you guys this time. I appreciate it. Sorry this was so long. I appreciate it. You guys, make sure you send me an email through DeleteLawZ. Make sure I have your email in there, okay? Make sure I have your email. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Later, guys.